Most people wait till the end of a video or a podcast to tell you what the podcast was sort of about, but I'm going to start by saying something right now that I think is critical that a lot of people miss. You can make mistakes as you're going along in your life, and you will make mistakes as you're going along in your life. Do not assume you have reached the end of the road as a result. I'm not saying that it can't possibly have happened, but don't assume that that's the case. You may hear my son in the background, by the way. If you do, I'm sorry, but that's the way that has to be today. Today I want to talk on the subject of history and the present on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. My name is Kurt. Today is Tuesday, the 31st of May of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That's the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. On kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on minds.com, minds.com, on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group there. And I probably will post this on Let's Talk Autism as well today. Also welcome if you're on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, or wherever else you happen to be getting me today. Let me go ahead and go through my notes to sort of give you some idea where I am on the subject in question. I have various memories that show up on places like social media, some with the prompting of others. I can hearken back to the days when those events happened to some degree. I can tell you there are various things I never would have expected based on some of those things that I look back on. When I see a video of my son trying to convey some simple thought or desire, I'm amazed that today he does so much more than he was able to do at that time. Being level 2 or moderately autistic definitely plays into the expectations based on his abilities at the time. That said, it's important to realize just how significant it was to not put limitations on him based on what I saw. The fact is, looking at how he acted and what he said at the time, it can be argued that I had every right to assume he'd never come to good places. That's why it's even more of a thing that I flatly refused to accept the very thoughts in my own mind where such things are concerned. I doubt I would have succeeded in holding him back based on what I see and know, at least not in any meaningful way. That considered, though, I'm still very glad I didn't fall into that trap. At the least, he would have counted himself to be less, I think, had I done so. I worked very hard to make it clear to him he's a smart, generally awesome, handsome young man. Had I not done that, maybe he would have succumbed and listened to the voices around him speaking contrary viewpoints. I'm pretty sure, as it is, he still does that sometimes today. The point of all of this is that history is not necessarily a sign of what's to come. You look at a given situation or circumstance and can't imagine how it can come out in a good way. Considering the past, or even the present, right? Then you look back on that series of events as you move forward, only to see that things ended up as bad or good depending on how you handled them. One thing it definitely teaches you is your attitude, your way of looking at things changes everything, absolutely everything. I'm not saying things will always be wonderful. You can be certain I'm not saying the road will never be bumpy. But I can almost promise things will be better if you approach them from a better vantage point. I get that's sometimes a hard thing to do. I urge you to try anyway. The better you do at that, the more likely it is things will come out better. You may be looking at history and wondering how you ever got where you find yourself today. I know I do. That happens to me all the time. Don't assume you're so different from others where that's concerned. I guess my final message would be keep moving forward, be positive rather than being negative, and where you may not get everything you want or feel like you need, you're likely to find things still turn out a good deal better than you thought they might have done however long ago. So, there's my notes. Again, I try very hard to encapsulate what I'm saying in those notes. I really do. I had a family member recently say something, and it was basically, it's okay to quit some things. And I'll agree with that completely. You're going to find things along the way that you thought were great ideas or whatever, and you're going to decide that they weren't great ideas at all. I'll agree with that. That individual is right. But what I will not agree with is a general rolling up in a ball for a prolonged period of time. Look, we all go through periods where we want to roll up in a ball and hide ourselves away. That happens for every single one of us. Okay? We all go through that. And I'm not telling you that you're wrong for that, and I'm not telling you that you're some horrible human being for the fact that you had a hard time dealing with a circumstance or a situation. I've said this before, and I'll say it consistently till you realize that it's true, and I hope maybe you already have, but if you haven't, understand we all feel like the world would be a better place without us at times. I know I have. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's a constant or common thing for me, but it has happened. And it's hard because you're sitting there thinking, what if I never was? You're looking at yourself in that same way that that the old movie, I forget which one it was now, about about you're never having been born. It's a Wonderful Life, I think it's called. Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life, where the guy thinks the world would be a better place if I wasn't there. And the truth of the matter is, of course, as a rule. Now, I'm not saying that there's no human being that's ever lived for whom the world would not have been a better place if that person ever lived. I can't say for sure. I think the answer to that is actually probably that's not true even for Hitler. I think the world is a better place for Hitler having lived, not for the reasons you might expect, but nonetheless, it's a better place. Okay? I think he had to live in order to make certain things manifest, in order to bring certain things out, and I think that without those things having happened, people would not have realized what was important. But what I'm trying to say to you at this point, boy, my son is having a field day right at the moment, so if you hear him again, I'm sorry about that. But what I'm trying to say again at the moment is this. Giving up in the long term is a bad, bad plan. Deciding some particular course of action or way of doing things is something you don't need to do. You need to quit smoking. You need to quit doing drugs. You need to quit excessive alcohol use or whatever. I'm not telling you don't do those things, not to quit those things. But I'm telling you in general, you should always assume that you need to keep going. As difficult as life can be, as hard as it is for you to pull through the various things that are going on in your life, I'm telling you, keep it up. Do the right thing and continue to work towards better things. And again, that doesn't mean sometimes you're not going to fall down on your face and sometimes you're not going to want to curl up in a ball. I'm not saying that, and I don't think any sensible human being will. It's just not sensible to say that. What I'm saying to you is, when you're done with that time, and I'm not saying that pity party because that's not what it is in my mind, but when you're done with that time when you just don't feel like you can do any more, it's time then to get up, to dust yourself off, and to go back to it. I know it's hard. I get that it's hard. We get that it's hard. I've been there. Maybe not to the degree that you have, and I'm not trying to argue that. And maybe God made you stronger than me. Maybe that's just the reality. But please, don't let the past, don't make it so that when you look back at the past, you validate the past based on the fact that you didn't do the things that you could have done to make a better future. Don't do that. History is a wonderful thing, and it teaches us a lot. Let it teach you. Let it give you the things that you need, the tools that you need to become a better human being and to maybe bring the world around you equally into better places. This is what I'm trying to say to you. Don't assume that just because things are hard and because it looks to you like right now things are hopeless, that's what the future is going to look like. The past is the past. Leave it there. And again, that doesn't mean don't learn from it. That doesn't mean don't figure out what you're doing wrong and so forth as a result of paying it mind. But it does mean don't assume that because the past seems to have been a horribly bad thing, you should just fall on your face and be done with it from here on out. That's not what I'm trying to get you to do or think at this moment in time. I'm trying to get you to understand you should use history to look at the present and the future and to work towards better things. And I honestly, like I say, looking at my son, I can honestly tell you I had no expectation that he was going to be the great young man that he is today. But as a result, I'll promise you this, I'm going to work that much harder to make him a better person in the future. And this history that I'm currently living is going to hopefully be my guide to take those steps. Okay. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Tuesday, the 31st of May of 2022. Tomorrow then will be Wednesday, that middle of the weekday, the 1st of June of 2022. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That's the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. On kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on mindsminds.com, on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group. And I think this one will probably, as I say, go on the Let's Talk Autism group as well. On Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, and or wherever else you happen to be seeing or hearing me today. Subject for today has been history in the present. Tomorrow's subject will be government programs. Hope that you're having a good day today and that everything is going well for you. And hopefully we will see you on Wednesday, the 1st of June of 2022's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Tuesday, the 31st of May of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching today's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back tomorrow to check out the next one. Remember, on various platforms, primarily Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub, and the audio podcast, you can subscribe to my content. For the audio podcast, you probably want to use Apple, Google, or Spotify. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. In order to find me on those platforms, you can go to the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub. You can also get to my content on Facebook by finding the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. minds.com, where you will find me at the Kurt's Religion and Politics group, and kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com as well. You can look there. I post my daily video on various social media sites, really only about 3, Parler, Gab, and Twitter at present. I am at KP Schubert on each of them, and you can find me under them, and you can find the videos under me. You should be able to find my podcasts on Google and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's also on podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. If you're looking for me on various of the podcast sites, you probably want to search Kurt's Religion and Politics, not the Daily Summation. Keep in mind you can subscribe to my content on various places that I put it. All constructive feedback is welcome. You can like, dislike, add a rumble, or give whatever feedback is available on any of the platforms that you can do such things. You can also add a comment on what I put there. Unless you're advertising or doing something that I believe will harm others, I'll leave your comments out there even if I don't agree with or understand them. I will try to let you know I've seen them when possible and may reply if I feel it's reasonable, appropriate, and possible, of course. Thanks again for viewing this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back again for tomorrow's as well.